or if he got a slap on the wrist plea deal, I would not be surprised.
I said that.
I would not be surprised.
I don't see the RICO.
I don't see the RICO. People are going to say that maybe I was going to the Diddy parties and I'm trying to protect him. No, I've been very consistent. I haven't gone to any Diddy parties. I went to one party. It was a son's birthday. At one point, Diddy was there, but someone was like French Montana and Justin Bieber and Khloe Kardashian. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing freaky happened. I don't know. You know, out of all these cases between like Lil Durk and you know, ASAP Rocky, I almost expect Diddy, well, maybe not ASAP. Well, no, even ASAP Rocky. I almost expect Diddy to have the most chance of walking away from this.
No, definitely. Because they charge him with a RICO. There's nobody under him, right? I'm really trying to see where they going with this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe I'm missing something. The Cassie, the assault, that's not there.
Well, the assault is past the statute of limitations. He's not being charged with that.
Yeah.
Now, they could, I mean, if they, I guess, showed a bunch of instances that are like, okay, well, he beat up Cassie this year, but then he beat up this woman and this guy and this woman and this person and blah, 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 blah. And this is like a RICO because he's constantly abusing people and there's people that are helping him and so forth. I mean, look, like people are posting voice notes of him asking for drugs. I mean, this is the problem when you just hire people to do shit, is that at some
If Diddy gets off this case or ends up with a light plea deal, I wouldn't be surprised. I've said this before and I'm sticking to it. I'm not seeing the RICO charges sticking. People might say I'm trying to protect Diddy because I've been to his parties, but that's not the case. The only party I went to was for his son's birthday, and yeah, Diddy was there, but so were French Montana, Justin Bieber, and Khloe Kardashian. Nothing shady went down, you know? When I look at all these cases with people like Lil Durk or even A$AP Rocky, I honestly think Diddy has the best shot of walking away from it all. Maybe not a top, but definitely Diddy. The RICO charge? Doesn't add up. There's no one under him, so what are they really gonna do? I'm just not sure where they're going with this. As for the Cassie assault stuff, it's out of the statute of limitations, so he's not being charged for that. But if they could prove a pattern, maybe show other instances where he's been violent with people, then they might try to make a RICO case out of it. They've got voice notes of him asking for drugs, which is another issue. The problem when you hire people to do your dirty work is that they eventually go rogue. Look at what happened with Roger Bonds, who's now out there doing interviews and getting millions of views. That's the danger when you let people close to you who have their own agendas. But hey, we'll see how this plays out.
No money. He said it was the craziest thing. But
yeah, I think, I mean, look, I remember when I interviewed Quando Rondo, right, who just accepted, I think, 33 months. And he was talking about his Fed case, and when he was locked up, he said it didn't look like at one point, it didn't seem like he was going to get out. It didn't seem like they were going to give him bond, you know, that he was going to stay in jail until the trial started. And he said he accepted it at one point, and he said, okay, and he got into jail mode. He's like, all right, I'm going to get these top ramen here, and I'm going to do this, and okay, I'm going to trade this stuff with this guy, and I'm going to get some extra pillows, and blah, blah, blah. Like, he's like, okay, I've been through this before. I'm going to get back into jail mode. I'm going to do it again. Unless Diddy gets into jail mode and accepts that the next 3 decades he's just going to be there, he's just going to be torturing himself every day, feeling like he got done wrong and so forth. He might off himself. Like, okay, look, so I remember I interviewed Alan Dershowitz, right? He represented Jeffrey Epstein in that.
If Diddy gets 30 years, like an R. Kelly situation, do you think he'll end his life? Maybe. Unless he just flips and decides to embrace a new lifestyle. Maybe he'll fully commit to the prison experience and make the best out of it. Like, maybe he'll start living openly with multiple partners in there. Who knows? There's a story about 69 talking about Diddy's time in jail, how Diddy wouldn't spend money on anything. He said Diddy would always ask others for stuff, like sugar, instead of paying for it himself. That's a bit crazy, right? Now, I remember when I interviewed KW Rondo, who accepted a 33-month sentence. He talked about how it didn't look like he'd get out at first. He had to get into jail mode, adjusting to life behind bars and figuring out how to survive in that world. Unless Diddy does the same, accepts his fate, and prepares for the long haul, he might get consumed by the whole experience. If not, he might end up ending it all. Then there's the question of Jeffrey Epstein. I spoke to Alan Dershowitz, who represented Epstein in that underage girl case. Dershowitz said Epstein couldn't handle the drastic change in lifestyle, going from private jets and luxury to a filthy jail cell with bad food.
His decision, and he acted on it.
And I'm not hoping this. No one wants to see anyone hanging from a jail cell.
I would like to see him at least come back on appeal. At least try to come back on appeal.
Well, I mean, he'll try. He'll try. He has all the money in the world to work on this, right? The money won't run out in terms of legal bills. He won't go broke. Am I right?
Shit. Got a lot of lawsuits.
Yeah, but those could get pushed off for a while. He could put aside $100 million somewhere offshore where that could be used for legal bills, right? Like, you could have a bunch of lawsuits, but try to collect them all. They're saying he won't get out of his jail cell to go to accept service for, civil lawsuits and so forth.
Oh, he won't go?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. That's what Busby was saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't have to, fuck y'all. These 200 lawsuits that you file.
From Epstein's perspective, it might have seemed easier to take his own life than to live the rest of his days in prison. And if Diddy ends up in a similar position, he could feel the same way. I don't think Epstein did it alone. I believe he had help from prison guards who turned off the cameras to allow it to happen. As for Diddy, he has the money to keep his legal battles going. He won't run out of cash for legal fees, but it won't be easy. He's got a bunch of lawsuits stacking up, and while they might get delayed, it's a lot of stress to handle. He could stash away money offshore to deal with those costs, but he doesn't have to show up for court hearings. He might not want to even deal with the legal mess, but as long as Diddy doesn't lose hope, I don't think he'll end his life. Who knows, Trump might even pardon him. I could see that happening in 4 years, when Trump is nearing the end of his term. Trump doesn't care about going out with a bang. He'd pardon anyone if the price was right. Maybe Diddy offers him a hefty sum in exchange for that freedom. If Trump pardoned people like Larry Hoover or even Dylan Roof, why wouldn't he do the same for Diddy? Look at what Biden did. He handed out preemptive pardons to people in his family and others, clearing felonies off their records. Pardons can change everything, and Diddy might just be counting on that.